Hi, this is Chrissy Green with another video tutorial for the Photography for Beginners Facebook groups. Today I posted this image in the portrait group and somebody asked where I got the digital backdrop from, and the answer is I actually built this up myself with various images that I sourced on the internet that anybody can use and download for free. You don't have to pay for them, they're royalty free, and you don't even have to give credit back. So what I'm going to do is just kind of show you how I would build up a background around an image. So this is the final image. What I do is, it starts with something shot in the studio like this. Just kind of, I never really have a big plan on what I'm doing when I shoot. I just know that I wanted her to be holding a light to be the star. So once I've done any basic Lightroom edits, I take it into Photoshop. This is what it looked like when I started working. You can see I like to extend my canvas just so I have more room to work. And the first thing that I'll do is I will isolate my subject. And you can see I did some editing on the flip there. But I like to isolate my subject and get her out there in the image. But the first thing I did after that was choose a background to use. This is actually a blurred out version of an image that I found on Pixabay of I just googled, I just searched starry sky or something along those lines, and see if I can find the image. Here, this is the image. So this is the image that I got off the internet, and I thought it made a really good background. For things to have depth in my images, though, there does need to be some blur added. So for anything that's in the far background, I got a really good blur on it. And then the next thing that I would have to do is build up the grass. That I actually got from a really great website called pngimg.com. And basically they are PNG, meaning that there's transparency. They're already cut out for you. You can see here, this is what the grass looks like. And it's transparent. It's really great. You can stick it in front of your subject, and you don't have to worry about cutting it out. Obviously, this is daytime grass, but first thing I did was copy that layer several times over. You do have to rasterize them when you place them in Photoshop if it doesn't let you do all your layers. Things like merging the layers, you need to have a rasterized layer for. So there's the grass. Needs to be darker because it's nighttime. So I will darken that up just really quickly. And the only grass that should be in focus is the grass that is directly on the same focal plane as my subject. So grass that's going to be behind her, further off in the distance, is going to need to be blurrier than the grass that is in the foreground. So I just made a copy of that. I'm going to add some blur, Gaussian blur, not too much. It shouldn't be as blurry as my sky is, but it should definitely have a bit of blur to it. So that would be the back layer. Then I've got a layer where she's going to be, which is in focus. And then I will also need a foreground layer that should be blurry as well. And I think in the original image that I did vary it up. I kind of staggered it a little bit so it didn't look so copy-pasted. And the foreground layer and the background layer I made just a little bit darker than the in-focus layer, just so that it seemed like there was a little more light in the part of the image that she was in. So I'm just going to darken that up as well. And the other thing that I did have in here was a bush behind her. And again, I got that from the PNG image website. It's very tiny, but it doesn't need to be in great detail because it is a background image. It's going to be pretty heavily blurred. I'm actually going to stick it far behind my furthest grass layer, and I actually will rasterize that layer just so that I can copy and merge it down. So Control J will copy it. I will rearrange it to get the final bush shape that I was looking for. And then Control E will just combine those two layers so that I can edit them at the same time. So this should be blurred a little bit more than my furthest grass layer because it's going to be behind them. And against a bright sky like that, it could be almost silhouetted. So I'm going to darken it up and then move it behind all my grass. And what else did I have in my image? As far as elements that I added, this was a pretty simple image, and that is all that I brought into the image. I mean, I tweaked them a little with a little more care than I did here, simply because I had the time. And let's see, just going to have to bring out my other layers to the foreground here. The other elements in the picture, like the moon swing and the ropes, the moon swing I just made on my own by making it a basic circle shape and then cutting out another circle shape from it. And I got a cardboard texture from textures.com, and I just set it to multiply. You can see at normal, it was just a picture of cardboard. It was actually a black and white picture of cardboard. And that kind of just, I wanted to look like it was a handmade, you know, cut out of cardboard kind of a look. Trying to think of what else I can do to explain sort of the making of this image. There we go. But I mean, that kind of gives you the lowdown of how it was all put together. You can see that I did do some color tweaking the grass. I gave it a big punch in saturation. One of those middle layers of grass is actually above the dress, so that it looks like the dress is within the image. And you can see, I think I've got 5 layers of grass here. It's very blurry, a little blurry. There are 2 in focus layers directly where she is in the image, and then there is the out of focus one behind her. All the fireflies you see just came from a download, an overlay that was purchased of fireflies. You can find them a dime a dozen on the internet. But that's basically in a nutshell how these backgrounds are put together. Just a lot of layers of pieces that I find on the internet. And then, you just tweak them to make them what you need for your image. And, it gives you a rough idea of how it got put together. So I hope that this video was helpful. It's not a very in-depth walkthrough. I normally go into a lot more detail about how everything is done, but for this one, I just kind of wanted to give an idea of how you can find things on the internet and turn them into your own little worlds. So big shout out of thank you goes to my Leela, who is here watching me make this video, who was also my model and my muse for this image. Summertime is here, and I have a feeling she's going to be modeling for a lot more pictures for me. So hopefully in the future I will be able to make a tutorial that goes directly from taking the image straight through all the editing. But in the interim, hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't, and have a wonderful day.